Hello everybody and welcome to the Radiator Arms. In this episode, we're talking about those terrible car gimmicks that we wish to assign to Automotive Room 101. And discussing this, we have the classic trio of, to my right, the man in the cans, Will the Plank.
Hello everyone.
To my left, the effervescent Ant from Sports and Touring, and of course, JayEmm and Friends.
Hello, hello, hello. This is me. And then to my right, we have the JayEmm of the cars, Mr. James Martin.
Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. All right, let's roll the Radiator Arms theme tune. So then, with that out of the way, before we get on to the topic at hand, a little bit of side stuff to deal with. I had a fun day yesterday. I went and chatted to the lovely Nicky Grist, who was co-driver to both Juha Kankkunen for his 1993 WRC Championship winning year, and also to Colin McRae for, I think, 5 or 6 years in total. Just pretty cool. And that's going to be coming out, of course, on the JayEmm on Cars channel not too far away from now. But I did bring you all a bit of a souvenir. So I got some Nicky Grist bobble hats for you all.
I'll have one of those.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know if you want the do you want the blue and the white or the more monotone one?
I like the blue and the white.
Yeah, that's
actually.
good, isn't it? It's good. Yeah, and I'm going away somewhere very cold fairly soon. So yeah, I think it's a wise purchase. And also, I will admit, did you gentlemen both watch the Fast Show back in the day?
Back in the day.
I'm afraid to say I didn't. I'm sorry to disappoint people. I had a very sheltered childhood with video games instead of television and films.
We will cure him, people. Fear not. Now, you may remember that there is a character in it played by Simon Day who's known as Competitive Dad.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, and it's kind of easy to understand what his shtick was. Basically, he's the sort of dad that would have like a 6-year-old son and would effectively throw a cricket ball at him at 100 mile an hour just to make sure he could beat him. Well, I must confess, I've had a little bit of competitive dad streak of my own.
Okay.
Because a couple of weeks ago, I bought Will his first ever track helmet to take on our lovely Radiator Arms track day. And it dawned on me that his car track helmet is much nicer than mine. And basically, I couldn't let that stand.
Is that because you're considerably richer than Yao?
Not anymore. Check this bad boy out. Now, Nicky is a supplier of these lovely helmets. These are Stilo, and they are made in
helmets.
Italy. And if you would care to...
I'll hold the box.
There you go.
I'll hold that.
Oh, sorry. The box is not the important bit.
I'll hold it. There you go.
Okay. Here we are. Now, for those that are listening rather than watching, I want some appropriate woos.
Ooh. Oh, is that real carbon fiber?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, and it's signed.
Yeah.
Oh.
That
is cool.
Yeah, this is a Stilo ST6, I think, which has intercom and connections in it already. And I may have gone a little bit over my initial budget, but it is also the nicest helmet I have ever had. And also the life of these is like 10 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely, please.
Oh, wow. That's floating away, that is.
Yeah.
I mean, considering it's got... it's what, FIA spec?
Yeah. Full FIA approved,
and it's got the intercom earpieces.
Yep.
Hans, tether.
Yeah, posts. I think they
things.
Yeah.
That's actually really. Oh, this is nice.
Isn't that?
I'm a bit.
Have a feel of that.
I'm a bit envious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here, have a feel of James's helmet.
Yeah. Get your hands around it. It's a two-hander.
So your helmet feels very shiny, dude.
It is. Mate, I was polishing that all night.
Oh, God, you two, please. Children!
Please,
if we're lucky, then none listening.
Take your helmet from between my hands.
Yeah, there you go. Isn't it impressive?
It is.
Yeah. So, no, I thought do you know what? I wasn't going to get the carbon, but then I looked at it, and then I happened to have a paint marker in my hand because he also signed my car, and I thought, it has to be done.
Yeah.
Like it absolutely. And I'm justifying it to myself. I got him to sign it on the side where you'll be able to see it when I'm wearing it in a video, and it'll drive engagement. And therefore, this is a totally sensible and justifiable business purchase.
Absolutely.
100%.
So yeah, would you mind popping that back in there, boy, please, darling?
Yes,
Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm quite proud of that.
Not that way round.
No.
I don't know.
No. Flat side down. Flat side down.
Okay, I'm not very good at putting helmets in boxes.
Yeah, well, we'll learn you. All right, so there we go. Gimmicks, people that turn up with helmets that are far better than they are.
All the gear and no idea.
Yeah. Shout out to the boys on YouTube.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's my thing. I had a good old day. It was very entertaining, and for those that love rally cars and that sort of stuff and motorsport history, I think it's going to be a really exciting episode, and hopefully they're going to enjoy it.
I'm looking forward to watching that one.
Yeah, honestly, it was just brilliant. I tell you what, though. Right, just sorry to divert from this a bit. Now, you may or may not know this, or you may have forgotten this, but I think many people are familiar with the Colin McRae Rally video game. Mm-hmm. And for some of us, it was like one of our first exposures into that world, and also, to the person that was Colin McRae. Well, the voice doing the navigation in Colin McRae Rally is Nicky Grist. So, have you seen Ratatouille, either of you?
Yes, I have seen that. Long
Okay,
time ago,
right.
though.
So, do you know the scene near the end of the film, spoiler alert, where he has a bit of food and all of a sudden he's just, dropped back 60 years and he's then a child at a table, having dinner, and there's like a singular tear down his eye. That's that sort of thing, right? So I'm just doing this interview being like all proper and professional and everything. And then he basically goes, 100 left, cut, over crest. And he's the voice. He is the voice from Colin McRae Rally. So I'm just, all of a sudden, I'm like 8 again, playing video games, being like, it's him. Okay, Colin McRae's in it, but the guy you hear is him.
Yeah.
And it was, so a little bit of it's talking about like the video games and the recording process and how they evolved it over time and made it more realistic and everything. So so for all the audiences, I was just like little school child being like, this is really cool. So yeah.
That is awesome.
We have to make sure that you borrow some of the clips of me playing Sega Rally.
Yeah.
On the arcade machine, and those chase shots of your car like it was a computer game.
Yeah. No,
Chuck some of those in there.
Yeah, I'm a happy boy. Anyway, let's get the boots in, shall we? And talk about the stuff that really grinds our gears. Will, what have you got?
But what gimmicks in cars?
Yeah, gimmicks in cars that can just get in the bin.
I'm going to start off with one of the obvious ones because it is the most pertinent to me. It's bloody capacitive buttons and removing heating controls from vehicles and having them on a touchscreen or on some kind of sub-menu, things like that. It's dangerous. It boils my piss.
Yeah, no, fair. And do you know what really irks me is that in a lot of scenarios, this is sort of dressed up as progress, or even worse, it became very popular with high-end manufacturers because in photos, it looks great. Like, it looks very futuristic, very sexy, and all that sort of stuff. But it's a great example, I think, of a technology that's excellent in theory, in practice, absolutely terrible. I have a shtick that I do in some cars where I say, basically, it's very clear to me that whoever designed this infotainment and interior couldn't actually drive because they did all of it stationary, not having to watch where they were going.
Well, I've got a great example of that. Just this morning, we were filming in the Maserati. What was it again?
It's a Gran Turismo Trofeo, the new one.
Yes, and I was helping you do the drive-by shots, which you see in the videos, little clips of the cars and they go meow in between talking points. I realised at one point that the heated seat was on. I hadn't put that on, or it might have accidentally been put on, and I started burning. And I'm trying to turn it off. There's this little touch screen in the middle. I almost had to stop in the middle of the bloody road to try and turn it off because I was like, this is a nearly 200 grand car, and if I don't figure out how to do this, I'm going to end up in a ditch.
One of the buttons as well, along that little row, opens the glove box.
Oh, is that oh my goodness. So I can just imagine somebody trying to turn the heating down and going, boom, glove box is open. Great.
And on the convertible version, which James and I drove when we were in Italy reviewing the MC Pura, the roof mechanism is also on there.
Yeah.
And you've got to press it and slide your finger one way or slide it the other way, depending on whether you want to bring it forward or backwards. But it's not up and down; it's left and right.
Yeah,
and it's like
nuts.
what? Like, just give me a button. I mean, and actually putting the roof up for me, having had experience of this myself, is something that you must be able to do while driving, because you could be driving along, it looked fine, and then suddenly it decides to rain.
Mm-hmm.
This is the UK, by the way. So these things happen, and you need to be able to very easily, as you're going along a slower road or pulling up to the traffic lights, initiate that process straight away, so that by the time you stop or have to go again, that roof is up.
Yeah, it's just that I think manufacturers forget that so much of driving and doing controls is on about tactile feedback. You can just get your hand in a place where you know where it's going to be and what it's going to do, and then you can feel like the rims of like the actual knob you're turning, and okay, it's behave, Ant.
Sorry.
That's staying in.
Honestly.
That's staying in.
I'm so sorry. Why would you say rims of the knobs?
Let it be said that Will and I kept a perfectly straight face. We were utterly professional throughout the entirety of this. And my wife even had the audacity to say that you should call the episodes without Ant the Radiator Arms unsupervised. And little does she know it is the other way around.
Yeah, today I let everyone down.
It's too much coffee.
So the ridged and raised parts of the control dial,
yes,
it's something you feel for and you can grab and get a handful of and know that is exactly what you're turning, and that's fine. Air conditioning controls, heater controls, things like that, and you can do that without looking. It's like knobs and dials on radios. Great, you know what you're after.
And actually, there are ways to perfectly combine this. Now, two cars that spring to mind, a great number of JLR products, and I believe also the Mustang Mach-E have a function whereby you've got a dial that almost looks like it's been glued onto the big screen, and in it you've still got a display, but it is a proper physical dial. So in the JLR ones, what you do is you basically turn it left or right, and that'll turn your temperature up and down. Or if you press it or pull it, that then becomes your seat heating and ventilation control.
Yeah.
That's genius. Like that's really smart. And I don't actually think there are that many controls in a car that need to have a physical, a control. One of which has got to be volume, your stereo, right? Then you probably need, track forwards and backwards. This is a basic one, right? You also need, I think, cruise control. Anything cruise control related should be a proper physical button.
Yes.
The engine start-stop should be a real proper button. And your heater controls. And that's actually it. That's not many. Everything else, all your Android Autos, sat-nav, car settings, all that sort of stuff, which really you should probably do when the car's stationary anyway. Like anything that would normally require concentration, that should be that. But windows, and the roof on a car, that should just be a proper button that not only is a physical one, but in a logical, sensible place where you can get to it easily and without having to look. There was a couple of cars, I think Porsche did a thing whereby they started making all the window buttons things quite flat.
Yeah.
So when you were trying to work out in a car with four windows which one you were on, you would get it wrong all the time because I think there's lots of small pieces of design, like people don't realize about the little bumps on keyboards and things to help you locate where your hands. They probably know, they just don't realize because it's just been there for so long. There's little hints and things that get left out for you. They're nice pieces of design. The other thing for me, I think, and one of the reasons that this is actually genuinely quite important, it's not just old man shouting at the clouds, is that a lot of discussion is happening at the moment about Western and luxury car brands having a really hard time because of the onslaught of, very good-looking products from China that have amazing feature sets, excellent performance, are putting out some great numbers, and they're priced incredibly aggressively. Now, to me, I think the key way that luxury car makers in particular need to fight back is by making sure that the car is a tactile experience.
Yes.
And that everything in it that you touch and that you feel is nice. Even the key on that blimmin' Maserati, right? All four of the buttons on it are the same. Like I have to look at the key every time to know, have I locked it? Have I unlocked it? Am I going to unlock the boot? Meanwhile, we've also been driving around in an E92 M3, which is, as a design, knocking on 20 years old. Now that, when I hold the key in my hand, in my pocket, I know where the lock button is.
Yep.
I know where the unlock button is. I know where the boot button is instantly.
Yes.
It just, to me, it's just one of these really dead simple things. Like, we got it right years ago, and then we screwed it up.
Sometimes there's change for change's sake to feel like the companies have got some kind of evolution going. I mean, like, I think for the most part, the time I spent in that car today, the car itself, the actual driving part, seemed pretty nice. Engine was good, you know, like the way it felt on the road. Obviously, I wasn't like giving it the full experience, but from the 20 to 30 minutes I was in it, yeah, nice car. The buttons and the bits on there would drive me crazy to the point that even if I was in the position to ever afford such a thing, I don't think I'd want it.
The thing is, I think having these capacitive buttons and burying things in the menus, the worst of which I think is the Tesla forward and reverse.
Yeah. Oh,
Like that, the idea of that just drives me insane. But I think that the difference here is that I think a lot of companies are doing this because it reduces the costs of developing the car. Because every one of those buttons and knobs is engineering development that has to happen.
yeah.
The software development to add a new button to a screen, much smaller.
Yeah.
It's sending a signal via a relay to do something, which is exactly the same as the button. In fact, often the button is sending a signal to a computer, then the computer passes on.
Yeah, CAN bus stuff.
Yep, all part of the body control module. So, they're just trying to save money. However, I think that today it can be a differentiator to have the right tactile buttons. That my favorite of all, R8, second generation.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It literally is perfection. I don't think anyone's done anything better than that.
Well, it's one of the reasons, like, even on the cheaper side, that I bought my Spring, because there is not a capacitive anything. It's all real buttons. Okay, the buttons are not nice buttons, but they are there and they work every time I touch them, and I now know where they are by feel. So for me, that is one of the drive. Maybe it's because I am an old man yelling at clouds. That was one of the many reasons I chose that car over other stuff in the price range.
It is also, and I think this is a valid concern, that things like large touchscreens in cars, they are an element which, if in, let's say, for example, 10 years, it turns out that a manufacturer did have a bad batch and they've all started failing, by and large. Do you remember a few years back, I mean, we're talking less than 10 years ago, it was still quite commonplace to get any kind of flat screen and have dead pixels.
Yeah.
Yep.
And half the time you go, I've got dead pixels. They go, yeah. How many you got? 3. Yeah, sorry, you need like 5 before I'll even think about taking it back.
Yeah.
Now that's happily kind of something of the past, but these are still complicated pieces of technology. There is still a lot going on in there, and it is possible just for there to be a manufacturing issue, and down the line, you might find yourself in a scenario whereby, yeah, actually, all of these screens on these cars are notorious for it. They built them for 6 months, didn't realize that their manufacturer had changed a part that they did, and then something went wrong, but we didn't know until the car's well out of warranty. So, sorry, that's it. There's a whole batch of cars that's going to get scrapped.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's an over-reliance on screens anyway.
Yeah.
I think that, things like little LED displays are much easier to manufacture, replace. You can almost buy off-the-shelf components and integrate those. Yes, I understand why they're trying to cut costs. Even the dials on your dashboard, like the speed, rev counter, it's cheaper for them to use screens than it is to develop a dial.
Well, this is exactly it. The Spring has one screen, but it's not a touch screen. I would assume if it goes wrong, you can just put another screen in there. But the beauty of this as well is there's going to be nothing infotainment wise to go out of date and stop working. That one, because it's the Expression, the entry level kind of spec, there is no application at all that can be used with the car.
Yeah, you've got no central screen whatsoever.
I've got no central screen whatsoever. All my radio is controlled only by the buttons on the back of the steering wheel, and so are all the car's functions, and then controlled on the steering wheel, unless there's the few select ones which are in the middle, all in buttons. So in theory, if the car doesn't massively degrade its battery pack to the point it's useless, or if because it's a cheap built car, like loads of components doesn't fail and then get it to the point where it's no longer financially viable to repair, in 10 to 20 years, that car could still in theory, be running around, being charged up and driving with no less features than it had now.
Don't kid us. We know you're going to be dragging that car around, even when it's like limping and it's got 3 miles range when it's fully charged. You're still going to be driving that, aren't you?
Do you know what? I do get the feeling that as long as where I'm be able to can maintain a place to charge it, I have a feeling I'll keep hold of it. Just for the money it costs. I really have a feeling at the 2-year point, I'll know I can either hand it back, and by then I'll either be like, no, maybe this car or electric cars aren't for me, or I will be like, yes, as a daily driver, I'm going to keep this thing until it dies.
Yeah.
So either or, but the next me who might have it for 20 years, if that's not the case, that car might still be working then.
The thing with all of this stuff is that we're all lovers of cars, and we form attachments to cars.
Yes.
And we want to keep cars for a long time.
Yeah.
And the kind of market that most of these cars are offered to are the 2-year lease market.
Yeah.
People are gonna lease the car and then they're gonna move it on. And actually it's those customers that the manufacturers care about the most, because they're the ones buying it new, buying it new. Now, what happens when that car goes on to the next used owner? Well, car manufacturer, if it's in warranty still, yeah, they care to an extent, but as long as it outlasts them, again, they're quite happy. Once those bits start to fail, oh dear, well, you have to buy a new car then, don't you? And that's like, it's fast fashion, fast cars in the wrong, not even the fast cars in the good way.
Which I have to say, tell you what, real big shout out to companies like Kia, who support their products for a long time. And I think that 7-year warranty was really revolutionary in terms of getting Kia into mainstream acceptance here, because that, for your ordinary person that just wants a car as a tool to get them to work and back reliably, just by saying, we'll stand by our car for 7 years, that's a really,
That's groundbreaking.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. And it's a great sign of faith in your own product. And that's another area we forget we've come on so far. I remember having a chat with a chap that was the CEO of Lotus back in the day, and he said people would give him grief because Lotus offered a 1-year warranty on their cars. He got so annoyed. He said, yeah, but Ferrari, it's 6 months.
Oh, wow.
It's like, so
Well, that's changed now as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, Ferrari now, it's 4 years warranty standard in the UK and 7 years free servicing.
Yep. But the best one is Lexus,
Yeah.
because that's a 10-year warranty. As long as you have it serviced with Lexus, it gets renewed every year.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing, I think, with the Renaults. I think I mentioned before. I think it's 7 years. Same with the Dacia as well. It's up to 7 years as long as you keep it serviced with them. But we'll talk about the Mercedes very quickly, because that is obviously a car that's well out of warranty. But they're a manufacturer who are still committing, when I read it up, to making parts of those cars for up to 40 years old.
Yeah.
So that's why you can still get a lot of the bits of that Merc even now.
But this is probably a topic for another video. And actually, I have a video about warranties on my list of videos to make. So we'll come back to that. On the topic of gimmicks, moving on perhaps from screens onto something else. James, how about you? What's your pet hate?
Well, I have a few.
Pick one.
Yeah, I know. It's so difficult. Can I just also say, just on the subject of screen still, really, really quickly,
okay.
Whenever I review a car, I have one test, which is when I turn the screen in the middle off, does it actually go off? Or is the backlight still on?
Right.
Because that when you're driving at night, I do a lot of driving, late at night and everything else. It's like, that's really distracting. The screen is actually off, but it's still glaring bright, especially with an older car. Also, one of the few manufacturers to marry the old school and new brilliantly, also Lexus. The LC500 has a digital display, but with a physical, like a dial on it, like the bezel of a watch.
Yeah.
And it moves depending on the mode that you're in.
That's so
And
cool.
the screen behind it changes, and you're like, that is how it's done.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. All right. Overly loud exhausts on cars that just don't sound good.
I agree with the second part of that.
Yeah. Like if your car sounds amazing, if it sounds like a Formula One car, I can almost understand it. But there are so many of them out there, and this is not just aftermarket stuff I'm talking about here, because until the rules changed in 2018, there were lots of manufacturers who were doing valved systems, their own aftermarket, in-house performance systems and things. There's a friend of mine, George, he has had his M4 from new, the F82 shape. and it has a BMW performance exhaust on it. And when he starts it, it sounds like somebody taking a chainsaw to the back of it. It's not nice.
So what you're saying is it's good that those things have got banned, essentially.
Sort of.
They're not gimmicks now, are they? Only aftermarket. You can't get a loud exhaust anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore. This is true.
This is tragic.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you pull all the cats and the filters out, but then it's not legal.
No, that is very much true.
Shh. Don't tell him.
Armstrong.
Don't watch my videos.
Yeah.
Why is that 370Z so loud?
Whatever.
Overly zealous ADAS. Like, ADAS is supposed to help us, right? So you talked about the Maserati earlier. One thing I'll give that Maserati, and it's one of these small things you know, there's certain things cars do, and you don't realize until afterwards. You're like, actually, hang on a minute, that never happened. That didn't annoy me. Like, and you don't realize it because it just wasn't there to remind you. That Maserati, you turn lane keep off, it stays off.
Ooh.
Now, evidently, Maserati didn't get the memo, which said every time you turn the car on, that's meant to turn itself back on.
Oh, it's the same with Renault. As I said before, my wife's 24-plate Clio, we turned everything off once, and we've never had to turn it off again.
Yeah, I can only presume someone went to these companies and went, Mr. Renault, did you not get this message? No. We were at lunch. You know, I had it when I did the Austral E, so it's not an anomaly. I don't know what it is. Some manufacturers have clearly just gone, nah, that doesn't apply to us, does it? Surely we can get away with that. And it makes a huge difference. You know, I am a responsible adult. I understand what these systems do, but the one and only time that Maserati annoyed me was I was trying to reverse, and I tell you what, this is a gimmick, right, that I dislike. It has really aggressive auto braking that works in reverse.
Oh.
And you know my driveway, I have to basically, reverse around a sort of 90-degree bend to get onto my driveway. And there's a couple of little bits of hedge that sometimes stick out a touch. And as you're coming round, the car basically saw me driving towards a wall, which isn't what I was happening. I was going around a corner, but it suddenly just put the anchors on. It bloody hurt. I was so annoyed. I was like, what's going on? And then, of course, you panic. And you go, what's happening? What's going on? And you go, oh, no, it's the car that's just stopped me. I had one car, I genuinely thought I was going to crash on my own driveway because I was having a nervous breakdown in this car trying to reverse it, and it didn't want to reverse because I wanted it to just reverse, just using the brake pedal. But, of course, I lifted off the brake pedal and it went, no. Because there's a car behind you. Like, yes, I know there's a car behind me. It's about 4 feet behind me. Like, I need to go further back. And then, so then you have to do it on the throttle.
God.
But this is a car with like 600 horsepower. And I'm like, no. I don't want to do it on the throttle. Like, because then you don't know how much throttle it takes before it then lets the handbrake off.
And then it's going to shoot backwards.
Yeah. Also, can we have electric handbrakes on the list, please?
Oh, yes.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is, right? It isn't that I hate the electric parking brake in principle, because I actually don't. What I despise is the total and complete inconsistency that all of them are applied with. There is no... it's one of these things where it should be like, back in the old days, when you had your handbrake, you're like, right, with very few exceptions, when it's down, it's off, you push the button in, you lift it up, you let go, now it's on. Like, done. Electric parking brakes, some of them put themselves on when you stop the car. Some of them don't. I also nearly crashed a car on my driveway when I had a Porsche press car. It was a manual Cayman, but with an electronic parking brake. And I didn't realise it won't put it on unless you put it on.
Yeah.
So I parked the car, turned the car off. And when I turn the car off, I fully expect it to engage the electronic parking brake, the electric parking brake. But it didn't. So I stopped the car, turned it off, and was leaning over to grab a couple of bits, looked up and was like, oh, hell, I'm going towards the road. I best stop. And it's just like, why? Why you do this to me?
I know it's such a pain. My wife's car's been pretty good. It pretty much will take the handbrake off the second you put anything on the throttle, and it turns it on every time you put the car into park, basically.
Yeah.
And so, like Renault have done it right. It's consistent. But I know what you mean. Like my dad's BMW. Occasionally, he's got an F11 Touring. Occasionally, I go into it and you'll just pull away and the handbrake will take itself off. Though there are other times when you go into it and you'll go to pull away and it will cut the power, go ding, and you're like, what? And it's like, the handbrake's on. I'm like, but you normally take it off. Why in this one situation in a blue moon have you not taken the electronic parking brake off?
Is it because, and I think, Ant, you might have sent us a little video about this the other day, is it because you didn't have your seatbelt on?
No, I always have my seatbelt on.
Because that's all. I mean, I'm also the same. Whereby even if I'm moving the thing just on the driveway, I'll put my seatbelt on.
Yeah,
like
I do as well.
Clunk click every trip and all that jazz. But there's a reference for the oldies.
There is indeed.
And next week, the Green Cross Code Man. Some cars obviously they won't move unless you. And also some of these cars as well, they won't tell you why they're not moving. They leave it to you to guess. It's like your own personal escape room.
I had that with the Spring actually shortly after I got it, because it's got a twist key in it. I'd put it on, but I'd forgotten to put it into the start motor position, and I was trying to put it in. It's actually on your driveway. I'd come in to feed your cats while you're away, and I was like, I can't move. Why is my car not going to drive? It's going ding. I mean, just flashing the neutral light. So ding, but all the lights are on, and the fan is on, and the radio is on, and everything. I'm like, what is going on here? And I hadn't twisted it to make it say ready.
The BMW M4 when it first came out, that also did that to me. I test drove one, took it out, took it back to the dealer, put it in neutral, and I think in those actually it's still a manual parking brake. It might be mine. I vaguely remember. Anyway, I turned it off, and then the thing was bing, bing, bing. Secure car against rolling away, and I'm like, well, how? I've got the handbrake on, I'm sure. And I looked down at the gear lever, and you've got reverse, neutral, drive, and I'm like, well, there's no park down here, and it's like put car in park. I'm like, how? Where? Like, don't just tell me to do it. Tell me how to do it. And it turns out what you have to do is leave it in either reverse or drive, and then when you turn it off, it'll put it into park. But it doesn't want to tell you that. It just leaves you to sit there feeling rather stupid. So another bugbear of mine, right? All of these cars with allegedly fancy pants sound systems that are in actual fact quite lackluster. Now, look, I know, particularly obviously Will and I, we're audio geeks and everything, but do not tell me, no manufacturer, don't you even try and tell me that for the 3,000 or 4,000 quid you're charging for some of these systems, you can't put a half decent stereo in a car, because you absolutely can. And half the time what it is they're actually really cheap crap components that are not put in the right places. And then they try and make it better by putting on umpteen different surround sound, equalizer modes. It's like, look, tell you what, here's a little secret from the world of hi-fi. You go and buy like a seriously high-end amplifier, right? You won't find an equalizer on it. Like it doesn't.
You might not even find a treble or bass control.
No, nothing. There's nothing. I got amps at home. You're like, no, because it does it right. It just does it correctly. And as you know from the world of aftermarket hi-fi in cars, you don't need to spend a fortune to get good sound in it.
Oh, no.
And when you've paid a lot of money for these stereos, like the Sonos Faber in that Maserati is like 4,000 quid upgrade. The JBL in a Ferrari is a £4,000 upgrade and is frankly, honestly shocking. If it was the standard stereo, I'd still complain about it.
Isn't it in the Porsche 911s at the moment? They've got the bass, the JBL, and the Burmester or something like that?
No, it's the standard Bose and then Burmester.
And apparently it's pretty much like a lot of people say, if you don't spec the Burmester, your car will be worth much less on the used market.
I don't think quite so much. You definitely want at least the Bose in it. Although the Burmester does tend to be quite good. Yeah. I'll give it some credit. The Burmester system is probably one of the better ones you'll get in a car. I mean, I've listened to cars with stereos that cost like about $7,000 or $8,000, like as an option. Name do one for Bentley. It's all right. Like a lot of name stuff, it's way overpriced for what it is.
What do you think of the stereo system in the Blue Mini, the Harman Kardon? I think that's actually not too bad. I don't know if you had much of a chance to listen to it yet.
Only a little bit. Actually, it's fine because I think it was a 500 quid option. And for 500 quid, I come in with low expectations. You know, it's just when you've charged me £4,000 and you've put like, and this is the thing that gets me as well. these brands like Sonus Faber, for people that don't know, make some of the most beautiful, like well-crafted, genuinely brilliant speakers in the world. It's a proper audio brand. Like, they make seriously nice kit. I would love to have a pair of Sonus Faber speakers in the house. It's just that they're way more money than the speakers that I have. And so I just would have thought, like, you know, from a business perspective, if you're putting your name on a system in a car or something like that, you want it to be good, right? You want somebody to get in this Maserati, and maybe they don't know what Sonus Faber means. They get in it and play it and go, oh my God, is this what Sonus Faber's all about? I'm going to go and buy some.
Yeah.
Because they also do like, you know, Bluetooth speakers for your kitchen and stuff like that. And they do all sorts of, you don't have to spend 30 grand with them. You can get stuff for a lot less. So to me, it's like, it's bad to have a product that doesn't actually represent what your company is capable of. Like, I'm just, I mean, I guess in the photography world, they've done a similar thing with putting Zeiss on everything. And
I think a lot of the problem is with these EQs is they've been trained by people who actually don't really know what they're doing.
yeah,
You know, that's the thing. Like, even the Harman Kardon system in the Mini, it's got loads of different things, and it sounds the best when it's just in flat stereo mode without any time alignment, anything like that. It sounds really nice. The rest of it just sounds like crap.
yeah. And what do you got?
Well, as we're on the subject of sound, I'm going to talk about sound of exhaust being piped into the cabin. I don't like it. I don't like it. I understand the rationale, because these
Now, we're
days,
talking by any method, or
generally speaking, yes. For me, it's fake. Even if it is, like, for example, on the 370Z, it apparently has microphones in strategic locations,
Yeah.
and it somehow puts that through the speaker system into the car. No, thank you. I'd rather just it be authentic. Now, of course, the problem is that modern exhaust systems are so quiet,
Yep.
and sound deadening is so good that you don't really hear much of anything in most modern cars. So it's hard to tell if the car's even on sometimes.
Oh, it's absolutely great in the spring because it's got so little sound deadening. You hear other people's exhaust louder than the sound of your own electric motor.
And you know, in a sports car, I want to hear the heart of the car. I want to hear the spirit of the car, and that is through the engine and the exhaust. Obviously, I have a preference for slightly louder, and just, I don't know, it just feels very artificial.
I don't mind it if you have like sort of like the hot tube technology, which is what Ferrari have in the F12 and other cars, whereby it is not active sound piped in. It is basically I think it's a tube of some sort that effectively goes, I think, from the air intake, and I think they wrap around the windscreen basically. So it just gives you a little bit of that noise. So it's real noise. It's not recorded. It's not fake or anything like that. It is piped in, but basically piped in by putting a hole in the right place. Do you know the best sound enhancement for any car ever? Right, this is the most daft thing. No, although that does make a big difference. For the 993 generation 911, Porsche offered an option that they called the Motor Sound Package. And do you know what they did? They took the airbox and drilled loads of holes in it. Literally, it looked like, you know, the music stand that's over there, right?
Which people can't see.
But it basically looks like, you know, a bit of Swiss cheese, right? That's what they did. The factory drilled holes in the airbox.
Wow.
So you could hear it better.
Do you know what? I had that same brilliant idea when I once owned a Vauxhall Astra 1.4. I did the same thing, and I got my induction noise from that. I was basically a Porsche engineer.
Yeah,
there you go.
Honda S2000 owners as well that are listening, you can do exactly the same thing with your car, because the S2000's intake, you open the bonnet, it's this big, huge plastic monstrosity, but in there is a cone filter. So if you just want a really nice bit of noise, take the top off the airbox. It's not going to directly harm your engine because it's still fully filtered and everything. I wouldn't advise it on track or anything like that because you might have temperature issues, but the sound is so good. Oh, I miss my car.
Yeah, but I personally don't like the whole fake sounds in cars, which brings me on to the next thing. I don't know how I feel about all of these EVs now pretending to have combustion engines.
No, I don't want that.
Even fake sound where you can change the sound.
No, none of that.
And fake gears.
Now, the fake gear... Now, that's interesting because the fake gears could be fun, but I don't know. I'm also on the fence of I just like the EV drivetrain as it is.
Can I just put my hand up here
Yeah,
and
of
say,
course.
I have now driven an Ioniq 5N.
Okay, thoughts?
It was actually brilliant.
Okay.
I don't want to admit it, was bloody amazing. They've done it so well. You even get, when you do the gear shift, you get a proper kick from it and you get the noise and all that. And I was like, do you know what? I know it's fake, right? But here's what I've said a long time. Yes, the methodology and what it's doing, it's all fake. But the fun is real, right?
You're sounding like Cypher from The Matrix.
When I have this steak, like,
Yep.
yeah. So look, I know it's an imperfect solution and this, that, and the other, but I also think, to be honest, I think there's also legitimate reasons to do that sort of stuff because, of course, with EVs, they have so much power and torque, which is available at such low RPM. It's one of these things that it was a problem that gearboxes were solving that we didn't really appreciate. You know, because most EVs, almost all of them, don't have a gearbox of any description. And I think there's actually some logic to saying, like, no, actually metering out the power a little bit is quite a helpful thing. And I mean, you know, I'm sure if you want to do some mad skids or something, you know, in a safe and appropriate place, of course, then it will be quite helpful for that. And it was just entertaining. It really added to the experience. And I tell you what's really annoying as well. The paddles on the car were really nice.
No.
Like, they did the paddles better than nearly any other car I've driven with actual, you know, gears and an engine and all that stuff. And that actually, let's be honest and let's be fair, as much as we praise the second gen R8, one absolutely unforgivable thing about it is the paddles.
Oh no, the paddles are ridiculous. Yeah. I don't want to talk about them because I'm actually traumatized.
He's
by
traumatized,
them.
yeah.
But, you know, I suppose, you know, there is an argument to say that we actually haven't needed to have stepped gear changes for a very long time. You know, CVT gearboxes have been around for a long time, and that companies tried them, people hated them because it took away that feel, the engagement, and so we've remained with the sort of stepped gears. And I would argue that if you have something that you don't need just because it's fun, that might be just as good as being fake.
Yeah, I suppose so. Did you know that Williams actually tested a Formula One car with a CVT?
I did not know that.
Yeah, they did. Because a CVT is a technically very good solution to a problem. And it's quite bizarre because you just, you know, normally Formula One, it just went... just off down the track. It's just like completely monotone thing. And for various reasons, they canned it, including the fact I think that probably half the crowd would have left if they had to listen to it all day.
Yeah, even CVTs. They then introduced. God, I can't remember how they did it now, but there was like
they did fake gears for CVTs. They did fake
gears for CVTs as well. Yeah.
The Japanese quite like them, like Subaru and companies like that quite like them. Because if you're driving through a city, a CVT does actually make a lot of sense. And Toyota and Lexus also use a form of CVT. It's an eCVT. It's not quite a CVT, but it's close, and that's what they call it. And the reason they use that is because of the way that they get the combustion and electric motors to join together in a sort of seamless way. It just makes sense. They're like, look, we've done many, many different approaches to this, and this way works. And to be fair to them, they're right. Like, their integration of those units is absolutely brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah, I've driven stuff with CVTs, and it's kind of right. My sister-in-law, she's got a Dacia Sandero with a CVT automatic.
Is that good news?
Well, the CVT is made by Nissan, I think, and Nissan has the reputation of the worst CVT gearbox in the world.
The pause wasn't long enough.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
we'll edit that in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it seems to be working, and it's under warranty, so it doesn't matter. And yeah, it's all right. It's okay. There's a little bit of that, but kind of like once that's only when you accelerate. Once you're just cruising along, it's fine.
Yeah. Actually, I also found when I drove the Toyota Corolla hybrid, The bigger engined ones, actually, it's not quite so bad because it's got enough punch in it that it doesn't labour for very long. Like, so once you're up to speed, it's just sat there. Now, I think it's only fair that maybe we talk about a few gimmicks that we do like, or we think that more cars should have. And I'd like to put one to you that's rather unusual.
Go on.
Now, as far as I'm aware, it was only actually ever in one car, the Nissan Fuga. And it had an air conditioning system that they said was designed to replicate the feel of being in a forest with a blissful breeze. And it used a combination of different things. So the fans in the vents and all that, rather than just being at one fixed speed, they were kind of just pulsating, operating at different speeds, as you would get with a natural breeze, which isn't constant. They also did various different things to sort of process the air in a way that, you know, was more natural. They had different cartridges that you'd put into it, not like the Peugeot ones with like scents and things, but it was very, very subtle. And it all sounds horribly gimmicky, right? But I drove this car and tried it, and the guy spent a long time having to import all this stuff from Japan and getting things shipped over so it all worked properly. I tell you what, it was brilliant. It was genuinely quite a relaxing, nice, calming place to be in. And the sort of place you could imagine if you'd had like a long day at work, you get into that, turn that on, you're like, this is actually genuinely quite nice.
Don't some Toyotas have like a cooler for your nether regions? That's pretty much in the same. Like, is it the MR2 that there's like a vent which is pointed directly at your crotch?
Maybe. You might have dreamed it, but maybe. What a lot of Japanese cars do have is they have the oscillating vents, which they call the swing mode. So, yeah, that was a very popular Japanese thing.
This is now going down the paths. I'm going to start giggling again. But maybe that's their way of trying to give you the fizz, Will.
Yeah.
I want to say, I'm going to Google this quickly. Pause, please.
So the Honda S2000, while Will is doing that, has a genius feature, which honestly...
99 RAV4.
Oh, yeah. No, that's quite popular. Did the Land Cruiser or something have that as well? I think in Australia they call it the Joule Cooler.
Yes, exactly.
Basically, the S2000 has a genius feature. And it's one of these things you're like, right, Honda worked this stuff out 26 years ago, right? And so many other manufacturers have not got this. Now, have you ever noticed, you may or may not, when you're in a convertible and it's getting a little bit chillier and when it says like sort of 7-8 degrees outside but dry, and obviously the law stipulates you must still have the roof down, okay? You've got the heater on full tilt. Now, your upper torso can be quite warm and your feet might be quite warm, but your kind of, knee and thighs get frozen just because of the way that the air moves in the cabin. Well, Honda have a special little mode in the S2000, and there's a little vent just below the sort of center console, which is designed to blow air basically over your lap that keeps you warm when you've got it's a special aircon mode for when the roof is down.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. And nobody else has done this that I'm aware. I've never encountered another car where they're like, yeah, just put a vent there and that fixes the problem completely. So yeah, good gimmicks, guys. What do we got?
I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I actually like the odd pop and bang. And I have a love-hate relationship with this. Where cars make it sound quite natural, actually, that Westfield that we drove the other day.
Oh, right? I don't think that was a pop and bang map. That was just...
He actually said they had to map the pops out of it.
Because it was too much.
But but that was just very natural. Another car I'm thinking of was the Aston Martin Vantage F1 Edition.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, and that's got these really nice natural sounding cracks that occur. I don't like the DSG farts.
No.
But the natural cracks on downshifts, beautiful. The ones I hate are the ones that are just like a pre-programmed, precise,
It's VW. VW Group use the exact same one for everything from a Polo to an Aventador or whatever. And it goes, bub, 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 bub. That's it.
Yep.
Every single upshift in Hurricane, bub, 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 bub. You lift off, bub, 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 bub. And what's so frustrating about it is that you're driving around a car park at 5 miles an hour. You're like, please stop. This is embarrassing. I first encountered it in my dad's Merc CLA 43, the first generation one. And it was just like, please stop. This is because you're like, look, when you're on it and you're having fun,
It makes
great.
sense.
So one car that did it right, the Hyundai i30N, basically below 4,000 RPM, doesn't do it. Above 4,000 RPM, and particularly in sport mode, you get a nice little burble, pop and crack or whatever on the upshift. I think my favorite actually was the Evora. So my car that started the channel, the Evora 400. That, if you changed up at just the moment before you hit the red line, you've got to be right then. You've got to time it absolutely perfectly. You get this like whip crack as you get the ignition cut out of it, and you're like, that's satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, that's so satisfying. And of course, because it was the result of your effort, that made it totally worth it. When it's just doing it on command, it's like, no, I'm not interested.
The Celica does a bit of that, doesn't it? If you're on it, it gets kind of a little bit of a pop near the top end.
The Celica will every now and again just do one random pop, although I did admit I did have a pop and bang map on it for a little while. It was horrendous.
But just for the listeners, there's some people that will be like, oh, pop and bang maps for hooligans, yada, yada, yada. There is a functional purpose for pop and bang. It's not just for the sake of it. It's for cooling the block. And it is. It legitimately... Will's, just for the benefit of the listeners, Will's nodding in a very sarcastic way at the moment. Slightly exaggerated. But
Cooling the block and making you look cool on the block.
Oh, jeez, that's a dad joke. Do you have news? Is there something you want to share with us?
I'm getting another cat soon, though, and I'm a cat dad.
That'll count. That counts. It has a purpose. It's about putting fuel into the cylinder without igniting it. That helps to cool the cylinder. It allows you to run more power. That's the reason for it, which is why when you're on it hard, it makes sense. When you're not, it doesn't make sense. And when it's just done in such a way where it's just there to make a particular sound. It's like the VW could at least randomize it.
Yeah.
The other car I don't like is the Alpine. You put that in sport mode, and that is, at least with the Volkswagen one, it's kind of like, there's some layers to it. It's like bub ba da da bub, and then but with this Alpine, it was just like bub bub bub. I'm like, come on,
yeah, it is.
It's like crap Morse code.
Yeah, like bub bub bub.
See, the F12's quite nice because there's a very...
There's S mode, isn't it?
Yeah.
S. Yeah, dot, dot, dot is S, isn't it? Oh, God, Morse code nerds.
Oh, dear. So the F12, actually, by default, it just has like a tiny little bit of burble in there. But when you then have the valve stuck open, as I do with the valve controller, you just get a bit more coming through, and it's you can tell it's pretty natural. Like they're not chucking that in there. It's just there. Although I do also miss the sort of the quote unquote good old days when you'd have carburetors. You just get that. You just going along. You just get that nice little it's probably telling you that your carbs really need retiming and rejetting. But yeah,
do you know what I used to do in the Maestro for fun? I used to key bang it sometimes because I think one of the things is where you'd rev it up, put your foot flat to throttle, then you'd rev it all the way up to the top, turn off the ignition, put your flat foot to the throttle for a sell and then turn it back on and go bang out the exhaust, making it spit flames.
On a motorbike you can do that and you call it a poppy.
Yes.
And I will admit to having done a few of those in my youth.
I was 34 when I was doing that. So
I was not. I was 18. I had an excuse. Although I think I did get someone to fall off their bicycle once. I felt quite bad about that.
Oh God. That's not funny.
Nobody was harmed.
Funny.
It's funny.
They were fine. They were young. They were nimble. They were agile. I'd like to say they saw the funny side of it, but I just got out of there as quickly as I could. So that's Gimmicks. And have we got any more we really want to wade into?
I'd say, do you consider? Is it design elements? Like, is like the floating dash in Volvos? Would you say that's a gimmick? Because it's one of those things where I always looked and that always kind of set it apart for me. Like, you don't need to have a dashboard floating, but it looked really cool.
I think that is more a design element. Although, actually, this isn't so much a gimmick, I think, but I am increasingly frustrated with just very bland interiors in cars. Like, just everything is totally plain and there's nothing really in there. And I do partly blame Tesla for this. They kind of started it, and it's like, give me a bit of a life. That's where you spend all your time, right? And I can't be dealing with it. But that's just a more personal gripe. That's just not a gimmick. That's just me not liking dull interiors anymore. When I was young, black interior, done, easy, fine. Now I'm like, anything but, please.
Well, if we're going to talk about design, I'm going to say fake vents and fake exhausts.
Oh, no, he's right. No, that's a gimmick. That's an absolute gimmick. And that's Audi as well. That when they facelifted that second gen R8, they started putting in all these bits and bobs. And you're like, none of them are real. Not a one of them. And it's like, for years before you, designers have managed to make these cars look good without doing all of this fakery. Although, one bit of design that I never really realized is kind of a fake, but is, although I'll give it just about a pass, the front intake on a 355. The front grille on a 355, when you actually look at it, the vast majority of it is just blanking. And actually, it's just two intakes, one on each side, a little bit more like the 360 and the 430. So I think that's why they moved to that design. But yeah, the main grille on the 355 doesn't go anywhere, doesn't do anything.
Interesting.
There's not a radiator behind
Not
there.
even brake cooling or anything.
I think eventually, like literally, it's like there's two small pieces either side which do genuinely take air through, and some of that I think is for brakes. But yeah, actually, otherwise the majority of it, nope. The 550, meanwhile, that is all open. There's a radiator there, and it's doing stuff.
Well, it's also front engine, so
Yeah, correct. So there's lots more going on, and actually the scoop on the bonnet of the 550 is the actual air vent. That's the intake. Actually, one of the coolest air intakes on the McLaren Mercedes SLR. The badge is the air intake.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. That is quite cool.
Yeah. Although I got chatting to a chap recently who worked on that car, and that was actually something they didn't have any choice about. Because they were trying to package the car in such a way, they Gordon Murray wanted the sort of flat bottom thing, so they had to put the exhaust in various places. Basically, there were things that they were inflexible on, which created other issues. And they're like, where the hell do we even get the air for the engine from? And they didn't want to put a big scoop or anything like that in the bonnet. And they're like, that was the solution.
It's like a happy accident, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I also notice a lot more cars. I can't name them, any of them at the moment. They have these like fake exhausts molded into the rear bumper.
Oh, yeah.
But the exhaust is actually behind the bumper pointing down.
Doing the droop. Oh, can we also stick in Automotive Room 101 massive alloys?
Yeah.
Like, they're just getting needlessly big.
Yeah.
Or like 22s on the back of a Revuelto.
Yeah. That I can almost give a pass because it's a Lamborghini. It's all about excess.
Yeah.
But like, you do not need 21s on a normal car. My sister's looking at a Q3 at the minute, and some of them come on 21s, and that's an Audi fitment thing. You're like, it doesn't need it.
I think even the new Twingo that is coming out has 18 or 19-inch wheels on it. Bear in mind, they're skinny, but they are quite large. I was looking at that thinking, crikey, that is unnecessarily large.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, on my Celica, it's got 17s, and anything bigger than that would just look stupid.
Yeah, the Mercs, the Merc's got 18s on it. That's as big as you want to go.
Those 18s on the Merc, like Gangstar as well. They're
do.
huge.
They were originally like 15s on that car.
Yeah. Because the other problem as well with the big wheels is you can just see how pathetic the brakes are.
Yeah.
This is true.
You know, if you got a massive wheel because you got a massive caliper, that's fine.
Yep.
But
or you could do what MG did and have I can't remember, it was one of the MG4s or something like that, the hot electric version.
Yeah.
They had a fake cover over the brakes to make the brakes look bigger for their big wheels. That's really a thing.
that's Spirit of Jesse. It's alive.
It is. So yeah, that's very silly.
So I think that's all the gimmicks that we should be talking about today. But if we've missed any, please let us know in the comments below. And if you're feeling shy, you can send us an email at landlord@theradiatorarms.com. Now, there are one or two announcements we want to make. Please also check out the link in the description for the mailing list, because that's where you'll hear about the Radiator Arms Track Club, because we've got a number of events coming up next year, don't we, James?
We do indeed, including a novice day and a classic car day.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to put the Mercedes around the track. It's going to be
Yeah.
so much fun.
No, it's going to be good. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in our next episode, which is going to be all about the things that non-car people will just never understand. So, for that, make sure to tune in for the next episode of the Radiator Arms. Here first on YouTube at 7 o'clock on a Monday morning, followed a week later on all your usual audio platforms, including Amazon, Apple, and Spotify. So from us, it's a thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Au revoir.